dun, dun.
I read the story. That guy? I told you who it belonged to. Like I gave it to me. It's heavy, man. That's a bummer, right? Yeah, that's some shit.
Hello, everybody. Hi, welcome to Torn Tuesday. My name is Justin, and this is my co-host Cliff. You always knew that there was something different about Cliff. Well, he's finally decided to tell us that he's just trying to phone home. And once upon a time, people of his ilk, of his kind, used to be called wizards. No, once upon a time they were called Ents, and then they were called wizards. And now they're called extraterrestrials. So, thanks Cliff. He's suffering some laryngitis today. So he won't be talking that much. But we hope you feel better, Cliff. You kind of look like Easy E.T. from NWA. Nazgul with attitude. So, welcome to Torn Tuesday. My name's Justin. This is your weekly dose of all things Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And we have got an exciting show for you today. Not really exciting because Cliff's my normal co-host. Or I should say I'm his co-host. He is not here right now yet, but he's making his way through town. Hopefully he'll be here much too hasty. But today we're going to be talking about the new fan edits of the Hobbit trilogy. Yes, there are fan edits out of the entire trilogy. They took all 6 to 9 hours and condensed it into a 4-hour edit, and everybody's talking about it. It's on all the blogs. Well, we've been part of this fan edit thing. At least I have. I've been in the conversation for at least 6 months at various message boards and things like that. And so now that the movie's out and the DVD screener has leaked on weird places on the internet that you shouldn't go to, now is the chance to have fully fan edits. And I tell you, I feel like I do after episode 3 of Star Wars came out, where a lot of fans said, I can edit this better. And turns out, I don't know. But let's talk about that a little bit later. Great to have a lot of you in the chat room. I see a lot of our regular Sheepish Lion Tolkien girl, Smaug the Dragon. Yes, thank you all for joining us. Again, since Cliff can't talk that much, I'm happy to take phone calls, and Skype should be turned on, and text message. If you text message me, I can just glance at it and respond here. Dwalin dude, thank you for joining us, Emily. So first things first. Thank you all. I can't say this with enough emotion because I'm an emotionless bastard. But thank you all for your support on the Indiegogo campaign for One Last Party. We raised over $200,000. We raised $219,000, which is $40,000 over our goal. This is a huge success beyond any of our wildest dreams, and you don't understand quite fully what it means to us at TheOneRing.net, all the volunteer staff members, all the volunteer senior staff editors, and of course the the 4 co-owners of the OneRing.net that started this thing all the way back 15 years ago. This fundraiser to do One Last Party is one for the record books. I mean, just where we're at right now with the fundraiser, it's already considered one of the coolest, most amazing successes that this site has ever done. And we can't wait to party with you guys here in Hollywood, Oscar weekend. It's not Oscar night. It's the night before the Oscars. And one of the reasons we had to decide to do that on Saturday night is because everything was like half price. It was so much cheaper to try putting on a party of special magnificence the day before, because on Oscar night, LA is full of parties. We're not just talking about the official Oscar parties, but everybody and their mother and their uncles, aunts, cousins, producer that directed that one movie back in the 80s has a house over in the hills or house down in Hancock Park, and they throw these huge bashes. So basically, every bartender, every freelance bartender, every caterer, every single foldable chair in Los Angeles is rented out on Oscar night. And it's an amazing thing that we were able to do the Oscar parties we'd done previously. But, we looked at the numbers. We were like, the Hobbit's over. The excitement isn't as much as it was. The nominations just aren't there. And we're like, I don't know if we can afford to do it. We got to do this smarter. And we've debated heavily on a lot of things. And the fact that you guys made it happen, and without any guarantees of celebrities or anything like that. This really is just a reason for fans to get together on Oscar weekend. It's so wonderful to have the support that we have of you, and I hope that this is just a harbinger of things to come over the coming years, and we're not going to shut down anytime soon, and we're like in the midst of just amazing planning and getting things done. The current plan is, if you just checked out our Facebook, we took the $50 pay-per-view off. We're planning to offer the live stream for free. So we're working through all the details. Again, all this stuff, the more costs more, and to put on a live stream, a special magnificence, not only with the cameras and everything like that, pointing at the stage, backstage, Hillywood show, Happy Hobbits, Cliff, live performances, concert. I mean, we need special audio mixers, and we just need to make it look really nice. Because we want you guys to watch as much as anybody. So thank you. It's amazing what Hobbits can do. And so all the details will be worked out over the next 4 weeks. We are 4 weeks away. The 21st of February. That's a month from tomorrow. Is when the party will be. One last party. And we're gonna hopefully do it justice. We've already begun assembling all the goodie baggins that you guys so wonderfully supported and ordered, and there's just so much work to do. Like, raising money's hard, but now the work comes in. So it's gonna be super fun time. Where is Cliff? Dwellin' dude. Cliff has laryngitis, and he's turned into Easy E.T., so he can't really talk that much right now. So hopefully he feels better soon enough and can join in the chat. So please text us 530-64-Frodo is our hotline. 530-64-Frodo. With celebrities saying they will show up to the party without reaching the goal. How stressful was that? It was. We went into this from the get-go, from day one. We didn't want to overpromise. We just wanted to throw a party like we always have done, and all of our events are an open invite. All of our panels at conventions are an open invite to any Hobbit-related people. If you were with us at San Diego Comic-Con, you'll remember Jim Rigel, the visual effects supervisor from Lord of the Rings, suddenly joined us on stage and had a nice little chat. So we have an open door policy for the filmmakers and the actors and stuff like that. But it's one thing to invite, and it's another thing to promise that they'll be there and really ask them to help us raise money, because they're actors and they get paid for their appearances and things like that. That's the business they're in. They get paid to show up. But all we could do is put the invite, and we certainly did. Green Dragon, Kirsten, was at the London premiere. She personally handed party invites to Richard Armitage and Lee Pace and the rest of the cast in London. We hope Richard and Peter are talking about the party as they tour China right now. And then, of course, here in LA at the Hollywood premiere, you may have seen some of the pictures where the Happy Hobbits went dwarf drinking with half the Kiwi dwarves, and much talk about the one Oscar party. So it's really exciting. Everybody knows about it. Everybody at Weta and 3'6", 3'7", Warner Brothers, everybody knows about it, and all we can do is say, please come along, because the fans are going to party whether you come or not. But it's a party of special magnificence if everybody shows up. The only confirmation that we have, of course, William Kircher has offered to perform with his band, and Jed Brophy tweeted that he will be there. And Jed Brophy, as you know, has emceed a couple other of our Torn events. I think he did an Unexpected Journey opening party for us in New Zealand. He's a wonderful stage MC, and I think he was at Dragon Con a year or two. So, the combo of Cliff Broadway and Jed Brophy, man, this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing. I'd love to talk more about the Oscar nominations. We have so much to talk about. I know Cliff has some very strong opinions. We'll talk about that a different episode, because there is a lot to talk about. And I tell you what, all of Hollywood is buzzing over the snub that The Hobbit got. You hear a tiny clicking sound. I don't know what that is, because I don't hear it. So, before we jump into a discussion about the fan edits, check this out. I am currently on my 12th viewing of The Hobbit. So at this point, I'm just kind of like kicking back and like looking for all the Easter eggs in the background. I think I saw Bryan Cranston at the end. But I wanted to show you guys this. Check this out. Let's see if we can pull this up. All right, you ready? This is probably a cameo that no one expected, but our friend Sylvester McCoy would really appreciate. Look at what Azog has on his knife there. Has on his sword arm. He's got a little creature that he feeds to his warg. Now, if we zoom in and look at that a little closer, it really looks like, hold on, image overlay. I freeze framed that shot of Azog feeding a little something to his warg. This is right when they start tunneling into the mountains. That looks like Sebastian. I think we have a hedgehog in our midst. I think Azog is feeding a hedgehog, maybe even Sebastian himself, to his warg. What do you guys think? Again, let's play back. Playing it back again. What do you think? And then preview. You guys think that it wasn't in the movie? Smaug the dragon All right, let's cut that off at the top. This is 100% in the movie. When the orcs, after Ball gets sent to Gundabad, Azog marches his armies into the tunnels. They have those big worms, and so Azog feeds his warg with this hedgehog and says in his orcish voice, the good guys forgot what lay beneath these lands. So this is when the armies start marching into it. It's 100% in the film. It's in every cut of the film. I think we just found out the fate of Sebastian, the hedgehog that would live from an unexpected journey. What do you guys think? I don't know if we'll be able to get really good high quality stills until the Blu-ray comes out in April or November or anything like that. So, is that a hedgehog? We know that Sylvester McCoy has been at many conventions over the last couple years, and he always has something fun to say about Sebastian. How he's upstaged by a hedgehog, a rodent. So, what do you think? I don't recall this in the film. Smaug the dragon. Absolutely, it's 100%. When it's in, you can see in the trailer, in the trailers of The Hobbit, you can see the scene where the armies start marching into the hills before the battle of the 5 armies. There's a close-up shot. Radagast would not let that happen. I don't know. You talk to Sylvester McCoy. Maybe this is an inside joke amongst the filmmakers saying, giving some love back to Sylvester McCoy. Upstaged by a hedgehog. So, I thought that was pretty interesting on my 13th viewing. I think I should watch it a 14th time just to round it out in theaters. So, so that's just one little Easter egg that I'm sure there's many more to be found. It's clear as day. If you go watch the movie, watch it in HFR 3D, it is clear as day because it's so huge and it's in 3D and the clarity. It's a hedgehog. So that's Radagast. Very well played, Sheepish Lion. So I found that pretty fun. Over on that, something else happened, and then something else that just happened is that on we just noticed on iTunes and Android store, the Play Store, Google Play Store, there's a new free app called the Hobbit Visual Companion, and I just downloaded it today. And I haven't got around to playing with it. And if Cliff was up to it, I was going to play with it and show you a live demo of the Hobbit Visual Companion app, which is supposed to be pretty good. But since Cliff isn't here, I don't think I want to go that far. We're gonna text message 530. 6'4" Frodo. Sylvester McCoy may be happy with Sebastian's fate because he said the hedgehog stole one of his favorite scenes in Rosecabel. So, yeah, I think Azog actually feeds a hedgehog to a warg in the movie. That just goes to show how much fun they were having with this movie. I don't think the worms were horrible. I think there's a lot of dissent on the value of the worms, the giant earth-eating worms. But I enjoyed it because, throughout the Hobbit trilogy, I was kept waiting for something I had never seen before. That feeling that I got when watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy, That was the first time I'd ever seen a Balrog. That was the first time I'd ever seen a Mumakil, a war elephant. It was the first time I'd never seen the Nazgul. This was the Nazgul started. They showed the Nazgul before we saw the Death Eaters in Harry Potter movies. So I was waiting for that moment throughout the Hobbit trilogy of like, show me some creatures that I've never seen before, and I got it. I think I felt that when I saw those big earth-eating worms. I'm like, yes, that is the Peter Jackson Tolkien movie that I was waiting for. And I think they're not forced in there. You Tolkien fundamentalists, it's not forced in there. It organically just feels like it feels like they belong. So I thought the worms were well placed. What else we got in the chat room? Because it was a CGI, you can't post links in the chat. Yeah, for some reason the links. I keep trying to enable links in the chat. But you know what? Let's see if this will work. All right. Oh, there's the chat. Now let's go to the Hobbit Companion. Houghton Mifflin, HarperCollins, Aardman, MGM, New Line Cinema, Time Warner Company. You're watching this live. Misty Carey. Hi. Hello, everybody. Again, text me 530-64-FRODO. We just got a text message. PJ is one of the few filmmakers whose hexology actually gets better with every film. The sequel is always better. I agree. Da 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 da. I think there's audio playing, but I can't hear it, and you guys can't hear it. So just bear with me here. Yeah, what is going on? I think there should be music playing, and I think just because we have it screencasting right now, we don't have the audio hooked up. So I apologize for that. I think we'll do this again when Cliff's here, and we'll do a proper demo with audio and everything like that. You know what was missing from the end of The Hobbit Battle of Five Armies is a map flyover. I really enjoyed that out of the first out of the end of Return of the King. Locate the coins to reveal the story. Every coin unlocks fascinating facts. Put your knowledge to the test. Ooh, this is cool. Fangorn Forest, Dunland. This is cool. Where do you guys want to go? You know, they ended Battle of Five Armies on the map. You know, it goes from map to credits, and I thought, you know, it would have been cool to show the map as they journey over everything. Where do you guys want to go? You tell me. Dale Ruins. Look, Erebor. Can we spin it? Yeah, we can spin it. Oh my gosh, look at all the coins that just popped up. Lake Town. All the coins. Mirkwood. Someone said Mirkwood. So let's go to Mirkwood. And Spiders, Azog, and Alliance. Let's go to Mirkwood. Open. Mirkwood. To the east to the misty mountains, across the great river Anduin, lies the huge forest of Mirkwood. Test your knowledge. Should we play this game? All right. What was the forest Mirkwood once known as? The Old Forest, Greenwood, the Great, Fangorn? Let's see. Cliff once told me it was Greenwood. Thank you, Cliff. Back to article. Wow, okay. That was it. Let's go next. Rivendell. As the company approaches the edge of the wild, they pass through the silent wasteland leading towards the distant misty mountains. Cool picture. Can we zoom in on that picture? Nope. Can't zoom in. Test your might. Oh no, that's Mortal Kombat. By what name is the Valley of Imladris also known as? Edoras, the Grey Havens, Rivendell. Imladris. Hold on. The only time I hear Imladris is I think Gandalf talks to the elves about it. So I'm going to say Rivendell. Rivendell. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Correct. Oh, my goodness. Man, I love having a chat room with me. I got another coin. Back to article. Let's go back to the map up here. I bet you there's music with this. What else we got here? We got the Karok. Beorn's house. Let's take a look at Beorn. This app is free app on iTunes and Google Play Store. Man, I really like Beorn. We've got a lot to talk about for the fan edits, especially about Beorn. Now, look at this picture. I wish I could zoom in. This picture is the very first preview image we ever got of Beorn. And if you remember, it was really low quality off the back of a printing press of a calendar. And it was really, really low quality. But everyone thought, oh my gosh, he's got purple skin and a haircut straight out of 1987. We thought we were going to get rock and roll Beorn. It was not at all what people are thinking. The question is, did Mikael Persbrandt's performance change your mind about Beorn? Emily, if you're just joining us, this is the new Hobbit, what's it called? Companion. Hobbit Visual Companion. It is available for iPhone, Android, iPad, and Nexus tablets, and all the Droid tablets. It's available for free in the Google Play Store and the iTunes. So this is amazing. Next, let's click next. Who do we get next? Biffer. Biffer, that is our friend William Kircher, who is our headliner music performance at One Last Party. What a nice coincidence. Cousins Boffer and Bomber. That's great. Related content down at the bottom. Look at what happens if I hit that? Loading store. The Hobbit, an unexpected journey visual companion. Oh, this is and you can US and UK you can buy now. This is wonderful. So let's go back to the map. This was just released, I think, end of December, beginning of January. Trollshaws. What's upgrade? Ooh, look, we've got an upgrade button. Sign in now to receive your free specialist knowledge pack and start exploring. Link up with Facebook. No, not today. Erebor, look at all these. Where's Smaug? Smaug. I bet you I'm pretty sure that there's audio with this. I can't wait to do a deeper dive. Smaug. Dragons love gold more than they love anything in the world. That's great. Oh, Sauron. Fantastic. I want to click on these pictures and go high and full screen on that. I'd love to zoom in. So that is the visual companion. Let's bring it back. So that's a little sneak peek at the visual companion. It's pretty neat. I think we should we'll get it all hooked up with the audio on a future episode and have Cliff take a deeper dive into it. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So what else do we have? Let's see. We talked about Sebastian. We talked about the app, Cliff, Easy ET. Wonderful. You know, it's so amazing. We do the show every week here from Meltdown Comics, right above the Nerd Melt showroom, the Nerdist Theater. In fact, they're doing a Nerdist podcast right on the other side of the wall right now. And when I got here this afternoon, you know who was shopping? Henry Rollins. So this is just Meltdown Comics is just the source of all things cool and hip. When Nerdist wanted to start, they started only at one place here at Meltdown. So everybody that's coming to the one last party in February, please make it a point to make your way down the street. It's in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard, world famous Sunset Boulevard, which is just down the street from where the party's going to be. Make it a point to visit Meltdown Comics. It's 10,000 square feet. You won't be disappointed. And they've got everything that you could want, and all the original issues of comics that all these movies are based on. We just got a text message. Peter Mayhew hospitalized. Breaking news. That was actually breaking news yesterday. Peter Mayhew played Chewbacca, and plays Chewbacca. I should say that in the present tense because he will be in the new Star Wars film. So, where are we at? You know what? Let's jump right into this. Boom. The Hobbit, the Tolkien edit. Now, this guy has a WordPress site. You can see at the top, tolkieneditor.wordpress.com. If you just Google search Tolkien edit or Tolkien editor, it pops up. And it's on every blog right now. Let me start by saying I enjoy many aspects of the trilogy. But ever since the first movie, fans have been itching to do their own fan edits. Because everyone thinks they can do it better than Peter Jackson. But once you start watching these fan edits, I got something to say about that. Let's go through it. 1. The Tauriel Legolas Keeley love triangle is removed. The pale orc subplot is trimmed down. Lake Town scenes trimmed down. Prelude with Old Bilbo is gone. Orc skirmishes have been cut. All the bickering of the orcs. Several action scenes have been tightened up. A lot of filler has been cut. My main goals in undertaking this re-edit were to recenter the story on Bilbo and to have the narrative move at a much brisker pace. Creating smooth transitions between scenes was of particular importance in this regard. I hope you enjoy it. And there are ways to get it. You can torrent the movie here and here. Again, look for Tolkien Editor on WordPress. And this is the first guy that took all three movies and cut them down into 4 hours. It's a 4-hour movie. Let me bring up the chat while we continue this conversation. But he is not the only one doing a fan edit. In fact, there is another fan edit that you can find on mega.co.nz. It's the new site from Mega Upload. But if you just do Google search for The Hobbit Dwarfed Edition, The Hobbit Dwarfed Edition is a different fan edit that has taken just the first two movies and cut them down to, I think, about a 2.5 hour cut. And so then this is just the start. So I've seen both fan edits. I've seen a couple other edits that are in progress. And I guess, because this is Ustream and YouTube, and there's a thing called video copyrights and all that stuff, I can't really just play the movie for you. I guess what we can do is, since Cliff's not here and I can't really bounce off anybody, let's just open it up. Give me a call, text me, Skype, TheOneRing net, all the information scrolling at the top. Skype, text, call me, 530-64-FRODO. Let's talk about these fan edits and what you think should be edited out. Because now that I've seen two different versions of these movies, of these Hobbit movies, edited out a lot of stuff, I can tell you what works and what doesn't. And it's really kind of put things in perspective. Peter Jackson knows what he's doing. And if you go back 10 years ago, fans were furious that the two towers deviated so heavily from the text that fans were walking out. They were screaming and they were walking out of the theater. The fact that Frodo and Sam were in Osgiliath. And Sam happens to deliver one of the greatest soliloquies put to film ever. Fans were really hardcore Tolkien fundamentalists. Couldn't get past that. Couldn't get past the fact that Frodo and Sam should never be near Osgiliath. Amongst the many other changes. Amongst the total, as according to some fans, the total destruction of Faramir. As a character that Tolkien created and wrote. But when you watch the films now, I mean, it just all makes sense. It's the Lord of the Rings trilogy is beloved because it is what it is, and Peter Jackson knows what he's doing. So as we look at some of these fan edits of the Hobbit trilogy, which are going to become numerous, this 4-hour cut is just the first. I mean, I saw it on the front page of Yahoo today. I mean, everybody's talking about the fan edit. It's the thing to do now, is re-edit your favorite films into something you should have been. But they don't. The things that are given up affect the movie. We got a call on the hotline. Let's take it. Hi, who's calling?
Hi, this is Tolkien Girl.
Hi, Tolkien Girl. How are you?
I'm alright. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for calling in. What do you think of all these fan edits? Is it something you're interested in watching?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's a great idea. There was a lot in movies that was just too much. Like, I get why some stuff was added in, but there was a lot of, in all three movies, that were just filler. They didn't need to be there.
Yeah. Like what would be the first thing that you cut out?
Toriel and Legolas, definitely. I love Toriel's character. I love that she's in the movie. I love that Peter, like I said before, I love that Peter wanted to give female fans somebody to look up to, but I just don't think that they played her character well enough for her to have a place in the movie. And Legolas, he wasn't even in the book, so he's out.
Well, I think you're going to like both the Tolkien edit and the Dwarf edition because Tauriel is completely removed from both. And the only time Legolas shows up in both movies is when he captures the dwarves in Mirkwood.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait to see it.
So, and he slides into view. He points the arrow at the dwarves. He says, and he delivers that line, "I would love to kill you, dwarf, if I had the chance," or something like that. Whatever that cheesy line was. And that is it. That is all we ever hear and see of Legolas.
Oh, thank God.
But why don't you want more Legolas in the film? I mean, I thought he brought some wonderful scenes that everybody remembers for good or bad. And look, he's a fan favorite. People love Legolas. Like why?
I get that people love Legolas, and he is a great character. He was a great character in Lord of the Rings. I love Orlando Bloom. I love the character. But in The Hobbit, it just feels like they forced Legolas in it. It doesn't feel like he belongs there, like it was in Lord of the Rings, because he's not in the book, and everybody knows that. And it just, for me, the character just fell flat. There were, especially the whole love triangle angle, it just didn't work. I mean, Orlando Bloom, I know he tried his best, and he was really excited to be back, and I loved his enthusiasm about being part of the movies. But it just, for me, it just didn't work.
Yeah, and based on the reaction in the chat room, a lot of people are agreeing with you. What is there? Is there one other particular scene or side story that you hope is cut down?
Well, like you were saying about the first fan edit, I wanted The Hobbit to focus on Bilbo a whole lot more. The first movie was fine. It didn't do anything that I didn't really like. Deviating from the main character. Bilbo is the main character. And just the last two movies, it didn't feel like they were centered on Bilbo enough. Bilbo is the hero of the story. This is his adventure. For the second movie, it was much too much about the elves. For me, it just, it was awful. When I went to go see the movie, I loved it. It was fine. But thinking back on it, they centered the desolation of Smaug around Mirkwood and the elves, and I just didn't like that. And then the last movie was all right. They did have a couple scenes from the book that were perfect. My favorite one being the chapter called "The Cloud Burst." That was the best one. But other than that, it just felt like Bilbo was a secondary character in a movie called The Hobbit.
I totally agree, and that is something that is very much addressed in the Tolkien edition, and I think you'll enjoy it immensely. So look for it. Look for Tolkien editor. And download the torrent of it because I think
on Reddit.
I think you might enjoy it.
Oh, hi, Cliff.
Well, hi there. Hi, everybody.
All right, we're gonna take a couple other calls. Thanks for calling in, Tolkien girl.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye. Hey, look who showed up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the final segment of our show, where I come in and save the third act. Just kidding. How you doing, everybody? Hello, Justin.
Hello.
I'm so sorry to have been absent. I am creature creature in absentia, as they say.
You're a wizard. You show up when you mean to.
Indeed, but actually, we had a doctor's appointment that ran much, much longer than we thought it would.
Nobody wants to know about your doctor's
Wasn't
wizard.
mine. It wasn't my doctor's appointment.
Who's a doctor for a wizard?
I don't know. An apothecary? That sounds like the right word, but no.
Greetings from Portugal. Hello.
Just got across town traffic. Just got back from the hospital. Clean bill of health. Everybody's good. Everything's good. But here I am, just struggling to get here, and here we are.
And, we've been talking about the 2 fan edits. There are 2 fan edits.
I know. The Dwarven cut.
Dwarf edition.
The Dwarf edition
and
the Tolkien edition. The Tolkien edit.
And I've watched both of them.
I read the entire thread on Reddit, and I read all the fans and their questions and, and responses to Tolkien editor.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you forwarded that to me. These fans really, really love Beorn, and they're all asking the same thing. Why wouldn't you do that Tolkien edit after the extended edition comes out so we can figure out where in the final fan version where to put the extra Beorn? Because the more Beorn, the better. And you know what Tolkien editor said? He even cut out the extra stuff from extended edition Desolation of Smaug, even though that was from the book, pure Tolkien from the book, when Gandalf introduces the dwarves to Beorn.
Here's
2 by 2.
Here's 2 overall things that happen with both edits. I've watched both of them.
You have? Okay.
Is that the whole point of these edits are to just cut them down, make the hard decisions.
Yes.
To cut them down. The Hobbit is a tiny little book. It does not need to be 9 hours. It barely needs to be 6 hours.
Tolkien editor got it down to 4.
And he got it down to 4. And
he got it down to 4 hours.
He made some really wonderful decisions.
I don't agree with removing all of the Dol Guldur stuff.
Yeah, the whole
But it's
side
all
story,
gone.
the whole side story about the council.
And every shot of Legolas and Tauriel gone.
Tauriel's completely gone.
Completely. And Legolas only has a
But
brief cameo.
Everything with Christopher Lee is gone. Even the sword presentation in Rivendell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rivendell is just a blip. They show up, they eat, and they're out.
That's right.
And then they get the map read, and then they're out. All of the stuff with the council, all the stuff with Radagast is gone. He's gone.
That's true. His character is completely gone.
So nothing to do.
All with Azog. And the flashbacks to the Battle of Azanulbazar, gone. Azog does not appear until after Thorin and company emerge on the eastern side of the Misty Mountains after their encounter with the Great Goblin.
Yes, and that's what he does.
Yeah,
and
that's when Azog shows up.
It's done very well in the Tolkien edit. You first see Azog as they come out of the caves.
Yes.
And he has a grand entrance, and it works a lot better. One of the things that I think Azog would have worked better if he was English, if he was the Cockney that we heard from the Uruk-hai. But the fact that
we ain't had nothing but maggoty bread for 3 stinking days would have been so much more fun than constant caption reading of the black speech of Mordor. I mean, we don't relate to these goblins the same way, probably for that reason.
Rivendell is in there. So basically, the dwarves.
Guess what else is cut? Not only is the Rivendell scene cut, but I read in his notes that, and you've seen it.
Yes.
But I have not. But I'm very intrigued to see this. The stuff with the molten gold statue, that whole set piece, is out.
It's out.
Out of the film.
We just got a text message. Christopher Lee says, "Not again."
Not again.
Since he was cut out of the theatrical version.
Yeah, he can't be.
And now the fans are cutting him out. Completely out of the Hobbit trilogy.
I wouldn't. I mean, so for me, the more Christopher Lee, the better. And there's a reason why, Mr. Tolkien. If Mr. Tolkien editor, we would love to have you call in on the hotline. Please be part of our conversation at any time and join us on the live chat or on my phone using the hotline number. But let me say this, please. Christopher Lee's very abrupt turn from good guy to bad guy in Fellowship of the Ring is so abrupt that it's hardly even contextualized the way Peter Jackson handles it in Fellowship of the Ring. With more Christopher Lee in these Hobbit films, we get more juice, we get more oomph and understanding of this context of what happens with Christopher Lee's demeanor, his general, school marm attitude towards Gandalf. You know, you're always meddling. You know, and he's like the pink teacher, Dolores
Umbridge.
Umbridge. Yeah, he acts like Dolores Umbridge in Harry Potter. But I will just say, Tolkien editor, please. You don't want to cut Christopher Lee if you don't have to.
And
more of
he
him,
did.
the better.
And he did.
And
Again,
he did. Yet he did.
There's more Alfred than there is Azog, but there is a lot less Alfred. But Alfred is played to particular effectiveness, and it's really wonderful what he does with Alfred, because the first time you see Alfred, they skip the whole filling the barrels full of fish. Basically, Dwallin's they meet Bard on the shore, and Dwallin says, "So, you got a boat for rent over there?" And then they negotiate a little bit, and then next thing you know, they're cruising into Lake Town, and then he cuts to the dwarves getting out of the boat, and then the dwarves climbing on top of each other, and then hiding in the toilet and stuff like that. And so, and then the dwarves grab those weapons, and then they escaped. You know, when Bard has his back turned. They are snuck into Bard's home. Bard offers insufficient weapons that the dwarves don't like. Then the dwarves decide to take matters into their own hands and leave
and go to steal stuff from the armory.
And Bard comes home and looks at his kids like, "Hey, where are them?" And they're like, "We couldn't stop them." You know, they're like little kids. So when the dwarves grab their weapons, make all that noise, grab their weapons and start sneaking around Lake Town, that's when you first see Alfred peek out the door like, "What is this noise going out?" And then he goes, and next thing you know, they're captured, and they're brought in front of the townsfolk, and it just like, "And who do you think you are?" So that's it, and you really get the sense of Alfred. He is a loyal
lackey,
but he's not overdone. He still has a little bit of Alfred in him. You still see him on the wall, you know, when he's sleeping. He's like, "Nothing gets by me," and the Bard says, "Except an army of elves, evidently." Right. And so Alfred is also Alfred's best scene is after Smaug gets destroyed and Lake Town, all the Lake Town residents are on the shore, and there's that big fight. And Alfred is like, give me that rope." It's like, "Yeah, Daddy," and that lady was just like, and Alfred kind of really starts that huge fight. Basically, the way Tolkien editor uses Alfred is Alfred is there to show the deconstruction of civilized society in Lake Town. Okay, you know, amongst all the crooks and thieves and hardworking people in Lake Town, you know, there's still some semblance of organization, right? They all line up together, and they're all helping each other out. But Alfred's main purpose in the Tolkien edit is to represent the chaos of losing everything. And you know, fighting with each other and fighting with the women and blah blah blah. So all the other junk of, you know, the cross dressing and everything is gone. Alfred is used very, very wonderfully, minimally, but effectively. He deserves to be in the film much more than Legolas, according to fans. But they still a lot of people wish that Alfred was cut completely.
As some of our fans here in the chat room are actually saying.
Well, does Tolkien editor take out the entire Dwarf Smaug battle?
Most of it.
Yes. And it's edited so wonderfully. The way it's edited, you totally see that maybe this was extra footage that Peter Jackson added in, because when Smaug leaves Lake Town, or leaves Erebor, when he crashes through the thing at the end of the movie, the final thing you see Smaug is he's chasing after Bilbo. Bilbo's at the top of one of the fire things. He sees Bilbo. Bilbo's like, "Oh, I gotta get out of here," you know, amongst the molten vats. And then Bilbo gets hit by that huge cloth drape. Right? And then Smaug comes crashing through and he's like, "Oh, well, I should get those Lake Town folks." And Bilbo says, No. And he's like, "Oh, you have a heart for those Lake Town folks." And so actually, Smaug starts with Bilbo and ends with Bilbo. And the last person to see Smaug leave
is Bilbo. So this kind of editing helps to re-centralize Bilbo as a main point of view character.
Yes. Yeah.
I get this. I'm starting to get it.
The other
now, I'm disheartened to hear that he cut out the song of Chip the Glasses, Crack the Plates. Now, if he's trying to make a fan edit that is more tuned to Professor Tolkien's original book, then why wouldn't he keep that? Because that was purely from Tolkien's playful imagination and is one of the more dearly beloved aspects of, the dwarves making Bilbo uncomfortable as they get inside his domicile.
From 1 second at 22 minutes, we're in the Trollshaws.
In 22 minutes, you're in the Trollshaws. So no Chip the Glasses or Crack the Plates musical number. How about the regular dwarven song?
Misty Mountains.
That deep, brooding.
Far over the Misty Mountains. Yes.
Yeah.
About 22 minutes to the Trollshaws. Basically,
that's interesting.
The dwarves and the dwarves come in. They have dinner. They have a very quick dinner. They get down to business. Gandalf's like, "Here's a map. Here's a key. Here's a contract." It's some wonderful moments, but we definitely don't spend 45 minutes there. Now, I will say that the Dwarf edition includes Blunt the Knives.
Okay.
And it includes the Misty Mountains song.
Okay, both.
So they actually cut out. What I like about the Dwarf edition is that they cut out all the eating and the food throwing, and they keep in Blunt the Knives. And it is the best version of that scene of the whole dinner intro. I think in the Dwarf edition, the total is 15 minutes long. But that's fascinating. The Dwarf edition edit of the beginning of the movie I feel is exactly what Peter Jackson should have done, which is the dwarves arrive, they headbutt each other, they sing Blunt the Knives. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. They get down to business. And then they sing Misty Mountains. It's wonderful. Like after I watched Dwarf Edition, I'm like, that's the scene. I don't need to spend 45 minutes watching people eat and throw eggs at each other. Like Blunt the Knives is so much more wonderful than catching an egg in your mouth.
Interesting.
I wish that there were more Dwarven songs. After watching the Dwarf edit with 3 songs in it, you have Blunt the Knives, you have Far Over the Misty Mountains, and then you have the Goblin Welcome to Goblin Town song. After that, I'm like, there needs to be more songs in this. Where are all the songs?
Some of the fans commented that the Dwarven edit is a little bit more chop-socky with certain bits of dialogue that do not make full sense because the comment that precedes the dialogue that makes it matter is gone.
Correct.
So there's some bits and there's some noticeable, music and editing jumps.
Yes. The 4-hour Tolkien edit of the Hobbit trilogy is done by a capable editor who understands that you can't just cut out. Like, he's making very specific decisions, and he's rejiggering scenes and dialogue so they still make sense. There's a lot to love about the Tolkien edit, but I gotta say that the Dwarf edition really feels like more true to the spirit of Tolkien.
Does it though?
Yes, because it has all the songs, and it doesn't have the full versions of the songs. It has just enough. You don't need the Goblin Town song in its entirety. You just need enough to know that these goblins sing.
The prologue with Old Bilbo is also gone.
Gone from both.
From both edits.
Don't need it.
You haven't mentioned that yet.
Don't need it.
Here we have Smaug the Dragon here chatting with us. Hello. Hi, everybody. And hello, Sheepish Lion and Idril and Tolkien Girl and everybody else. All of our wonderful regulars who are out there. And Iravandi. Wow, it's nice to see you guys. Smaug the Dragon says, Cliff, an unexpected journey's pace is great from the prologue to when the food fight begins. Cut out the food fight and dish song, and then go right to Gandalf with the map. A little more light. I get that. Yeah. Well, wonder.
Where can you watch this? We're people just joining us. We're talking about the two fan edits that have so far come out. The Tolkien, it's called Tolkien Editors Tolkien edit of The Hobbit. There's also a second one called The Hobbit Dwarfed Edition.
Dwarfed.
And
Past tense.
Both,
The dwarfed
both
edition.
of these are available if you just do a Google search for Tolkien edit and do a separate Google search for Dwarfed Edition.
But when you do those Google searches, type in Hobbit movie as your first two words. Hobbit movie.
or The Hobbit.
Yeah, type in The Hobbit movie Dwarfed Edition. Or on Reddit, if you're already on Reddit, look up anything that's been posted by Tolkien Editor. Editor. Tolkien Editor has a big post that's gotten a lot of traction on Reddit, and for good reason why, where he discusses his reasonings and his logic and his background and why he wanted to make some of these changes, and it's really fascinating to see how the fans are reacting to him. And he made the supposition, maybe I should wait until I get my hands on the extended edition of Battle of the Five Armies, but he ultimately proceeded and just said the reasoning here is to make it shorter, not longer.
We just got a text message that says Alfred is basically an eagle, should have only been used sparingly. Speaking of eagles, reminded me, Radagast is completely out of both of these fan edits. I guess these fan editors don't like Radagast, and they cut him out completely of the eagle scene. It cuts from Azog looking up, and then you see the eagles, but not that close up of Radagast. So it's striking.
So Radagast has no arrival in the Tolkien edit.
He's nowhere to be found.
He doesn't exist in the film.
He doesn't
period.
exist, and the fact that it's so easy to cut him out of the film.
So the prologue is gone with old Bilbo. And I think he explained why. He said...
it doesn't make sense.
He said you get more of an impact when the dwarves explain what happened with the dragon than you do seeing it in the bombast of a big CGI sequence before the dwarves actually talk about it.
Yes.
So, and this is very interesting. And then, so there's no opening. There's no Radagast. And there's no... There's
Tauriel.
no Tauriel, no Legolas except for a brief cameo.
No Christopher Lee.
And no diversions to
No
the
Galadriel.
no Dol Guldur or White Council subplots on any level. So they don't even go up to the high fells of Rhudaur to see the tombs.
No.
And there's no flashbacks to the dwarves battling with the orcs outside of Moria. So all that stuff is gone.
I tell you what, though. Works, though.
It's a 4-hour edit of all 3 Hobbit films.
And when you watch all 3 films together, there's multiple points where Gandalf says, "I gotta go."
Yes.
I need time. I need my time.
Yeah.
He does that before the Troll Shaws. He does it a few times, and when you watch it all in one go, it makes sense. I get it. Like, Gandalf just disappears, and they cut out everything that shows Gandalf doing stuff. So in the context of this film, you just have, all you know is Gandalf gets these guys on their way, and then he disappears, and then he shows up again, and then he disappears, and then he shows up again.
And that's more true to the spirit of Gandalf in the book.
It's really effective, because when you see Gandalf reappear right before the Battle of the Five Armies, and he's like, "Oh man," and everyone's like listening to him.
So being that economical with the character of Gandalf makes a more impactful Gandalf when he does show up, especially at the end.
Yes.
So, it's about economizing characters, and it's about condensing story, and cutting out what he called bloat.
Yeah.
In Tolkien editor's words, he said that there was a lot of superfluous bloat.
It's actually pretty striking how much can be cut out of the Hobbit trilogy
and maintain a complete through line of Bilbo's narrative.
Yeah, and I tell you
now what does that tell you?
Well,
does that tell you that Peter Jackson was overindulgent? Or does it tell us that he was trying to give the fans more and more and more because
it's a combination of both?
Because he thought it was making the fans happy. I talk to most fans, and they say, "Oh gosh, I know the movie wanders a bit, but it's nice to have more Middle Earth instead of less." I do hear that a lot.
Yeah,
but they just try to. But isn't that just the sound of an apologist trying to mitigate the fact that Peter went a little bit too crazy? What do you think? Fans mitigating what Peter did wrong?
I think he took the easy way out.
You guys, what do you think?
I think Peter Jackson, didn't try hard enough to wrap up into 3 endings. Like he was doing 3 movies, he needed 3 endings.
Yeah.
Or 2 endings, and then the battle. But the way the Tolkien edit comes together is that there's no redemption of Bilbo. The redemption of Bilbo does not exist, and it works
In the Tolkien edit?
so wonderfully, and it makes me see Bilbo in an entirely new light.
What redemption of Bilbo? In
The
what
redemption
sense?
of Bilbo,
Redeemed through Thorin's eyes, you mean?
redeemed through Thorin's eyes.
Oh, okay.
Basically, if you look at Peter Jackson's films, Thorin was absolutely right not to trust Bilbo. Thorin was right the whole way. Like, I can't trust. There's something about that little hobbit I can't trust. And Bilbo, time and time again, is like, look, I know you don't trust me, but, I'm here. I know you don't trust me, but let me save you. I know you don't trust me, but let me fib to the Trollshaws. I know you don't trust me, but let's do this. And then, end to end, face to face, 3 times, almost like a Judas, Thorin says, "Someone has stolen the Arkenstone from me." And I think it was him or them. And Bilbo looks him right in the eye thrice. Very biblical. And does not come clean. And Bilbo would rather let those dwarves take the fall for stealing the Arkenstone than own up to what he has done.
But he does own up at the gate. Is that
after he's given
Are you
going
to tell me that's removed from the Tolkien edit?
No, it's there. It's
okay,
there.
it should be there because it's straight from the book.
But he looks Thorin straight in the eye.
Yeah.
He looks Thorin straight in the eye and
proves his worth as a burglar.
And proves his worth as a burgler. And then still gives the gives the stone to Thranduil and Bard. They still come up and say, "Hey, look what we got." And then Bilbo's right there and said, "I'm a burglar, but an honest one." But yes. it really, it really brings that whole scene, that whole ending between Bilbo and Thorin together really great. And in fact, it makes the scene up at Ravenhill even more when Bilbo shows up and warns Thorin, "Hey man, you got another army coming." And then it really impactful when Thorin's dying.
Yes.
And Bilbo has the conversation with him. It really brings it all home. But I feel like Peter Jackson, he messed up by redeeming Bilbo at the end of An Unexpected Journey. When you watch all 3 films together, Bilbo is not redeemed in Thorin's eyes until Thorin is dying. And it's powerful. Thorin doesn't trust him. Bilbo, there's reason not to trust him. Bilbo lies about everything. Bilbo says, you got to skin these dwarves. Oh no, they have, they're yucky, blah blah blah. And then he lies to his face and says, I don't know what you're talking about. Arkenstone, So it really. That's where I think Peter Jackson messed up. He redeemed Bilbo too early in the trilogy.
Interesting.
And he shouldn't have.
It's very interesting. The Tolkien editor guy, when he posted this on Reddit, he said in particular in his notes that the Battle of Ravenhill was difficult to re-edit. And he had to keep cutting Tauriel and Legolas out of the shenanigans. And I think he cut out Bolg as well.
Bolg is in there sparingly.
Yeah. Okay.
He still knocks Bilbo out.
Yeah.
At the end of it, but yeah, you don't have any of the dialogue between Azog and Bolg. Again, there's nothing.
Interesting.
The big great enemy of the Pale Orc.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. Azog just shows up a few critical times, puts up a fight, and then dwarves are on their way. One of the things that I think really works
it's very interesting
about that is that, it just feels like Peter Jackson was trying too hard to force these 2 pale orcs to be the bad guys. When you watch the Tolkien edit, you know what the bad guy is? The ultimate what's the word?
Anti-hero?
No, with foil.
Antithesis?
not antithesis. You got your hero and you got your the true villain.
Antagonist.
Antagonist. The Tolkien edit antagonist.
Yes.
Is time.
Is time.
Is time. Is time. The way it's edited, repeatedly, Thorne is like, man, we got to get there before
time's up.
Before the moonlight.
Yeah.
We got to get there, man. We got to get out of here. We got to bust through this place. We got to take that shortcut. Like, we got to get there.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, time, and then they reclaim Erebor, and then it's all about just time. I need time. Give Dane time. I need,
Yeah.
Like, he's stalling for time until Dane comes back.
Yes, he is. It's a fascinating approach to that.
So the ultimate antagonist in the Tolkien edit is time, and it's beautiful. It is exactly what Peter Jackson did with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Sauron, the big flaming eye in Mordor,
yes,
is a representation of time. The big flaming eye doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't reach out and burn you. It doesn't, it's just a representative of time. We're running out of time. You hear from every hero in Lord of the Rings, we're running out of time. Sauron's forces are amassing. We're running out of time. We're running out of time. Let's give Bilbo more time. Or Frodo more time.
Yeah.
So, Lord of the Rings, the ultimate antagonist was time. We're running out of time. That's what was missing from The Hobbit, but it's there. It's there. Through the Tolkien edit, it's there. Time is the antagonist. And when it's re-edited, it's so good.
There are many, many other interpretations of what that eye of Sauron symbolically represents. And we could spend many an hour discussing just that, the political ramifications of what that eye represents, the stripping down of privacy rights, its applicability versus allegory. We could have that conversation on a whole nother show, but I do appreciate what you're saying about the editor's focus. Here's a bigger question. Since the Phantom edit became the most well-known fan response to George Lucas,
to any film,
and the most world-recognized in popular culture response to a filmmaker doing something, and then the audience, the fans, take ownership of it. And this is what we talked about in the movie The People versus George Lucas.
Yes.
Where the fans are, in another way, feeling that their entitlement and access to digital tools and digital editing tools can bring them to a point of, ownership, and they can revise and rework with their own hands the end product of this film and have the filmic work become something slightly different, or maybe even majorly different in this case.
Sheepish
What do you think about that, guys? What do you think about that phenomenon that fans think they have some ownership over a work of art and take it away from the filmmaker to revise?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not taken away from the
to me.
filmmaker. Sheepish Lion
They are,
mentions in the chat room, says, I'm late, I'm very late. And it's so Bilbo. It's so Bilbo to have your ultimate antagonist time. Because Bilbo is like tease at 4. Bilbo, it has a schedule. And time is precious to Bilbo. And by having time as the antagonist throughout the film, it reinforces the Bilbo story. But
it also makes an interesting commentary when Thranduil has a line like, I can wait.
Good night, Dwalin Dude.
Good night, Dwalin Dude. But how about the idea that elves, being a unique type of immortal creature, now other immortal creatures appear in fairy tales and folklore, but in this type of mythology, Tolkien's elves can be killed by the blade, or they can die of a broken heart and the sorrow within.
Well, we saw that
but they can't be killed. But they just don't die from disease or old age.
Yeah.
So if in making that concept of time as a major enemy and a thematic, groundwork of the whole thing, I like that approach. A lot of fans in the chat room are saying, "Sounds like I would like this new edit."
And
I bet you I would like it too. It is fascinating to hear Thranduil say to Thorin in disdain, you can rot for hundreds of years. I can wait. From that point of view of an immortal being,
yes,
to say I can wait when nobody else on the table can afford to wait for anything.
Yes.
That tells us a lot about Thranduil and his psychological makeup.
And it's a powerful line
it's very interesting
to deliver. When you keep reinforcing the idea of like, we're running out of time, we're running out of moonlight, we got to get there before Durin's Day.
Yes.
We're running out of time. When Thranduil says, lock him up, I've got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh. Like, it's really much more impactful. When I saw it in theaters, Peter Jackson's edit, it's just kind of like, oh, he's just bragging. There was no weight to it. But back to your comment about fan edits, Star Wars Episode 1, the Phantom edit, kicked this thing off. It's not so much as the fans taking something away from the filmmaker. It's just, when you're thinking about things, when you're obsessed with something so much, is that you have to take a crack at it. Famously, the big director who did Ocean's 11,
Steven Soderbergh.
Yes. He just published on his website. You can go there right now and watch. He recut 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Really?
Cutting out 42 minutes of that film. He said, this is one of my favorite films of all time, but it's been gnawing on me for years. Steven Soderbergh recut the classic.
With Warner Brothers' permission?
Nope.
That's interesting.
Total fan edit. It's on Vimeo.
He did a fan edit of Kubrick's masterpiece
and cut 42 minutes out. It is the equivalent of what the fans are doing now with Peter Jackson.
This is fascinating.
It sits in your head so much. It's almost like a release. Like, I just have to see if these films work in a lesser edit. And so I don't think this is necessarily a fandom thing. It's just a creative process.
But it's an aspect of fandom that other fandoms don't have.
It's an artistic study, as a few people in the chat room, they've been inspired by the works of Peter Jackson, and they say, I have a different interpretation of this material. Let me paint it a different way, from a different perspective. Instead of going full on like this, let me go at a 3/4 angle. It's a different interpretation of the scene.
What's fascinating is now you've got this geek culture, which is more interested than any other audience in revising great filmmakers' works. I mean, no one has ever gone back to revise Dr. Zhivago or Lawrence of Arabia or anything that David Lean has done, even though his movies are 3.5-hour epics. I mean, nobody's gone back to any Cecil B. DeMille pictures to revise them.
Not yet, but the tools are here.
Now that you've mentioned the Soderbergh thing, him revising and revisiting a great Kubrick film,
the epic space movie of all,
which is what Christopher Nolan wanted to touch upon a great deal with his new Interstellar.
Right,
he wanted to reapproach 2001 and did his own version of that. But here, let me say something here. What other fandom do you know of, besides Star Wars and Lord of the Rings fans, who are so aggressive in this attitude of ownership over the films that have been given to them, and now as an audience member, they're not satisfied to just be an audience member. They want to be creatively involved and think that they can do better. And in some cases they do, but some cases they do not. The idea of that, the director of that wonderful documentary, The People versus George Lucas.
Yes.
Alexander, forgive me, he's such a great guy. Philippe Alexander. He did a very, very good job examining this very question in that film, don't you think?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this?
I think the people in the chat room summed it up fine. It's an artistic expression. They've been shown a scene, they've been shown a film, an interpretation, and now the tools are now available. And it's only now in the last 5 to 10 years that everyone can edit on their laptop, or you can even edit it on an iPad. So the tools are available to do what's being done with the Tolkien edit and the Dwarf edition. But I will say
Like
that
nobody is going back to old, Italian films and Zeffirelli films and going back to old.
Not yet.
No one's going back to old Laurel and Hardy comedy shorts and re-editing them.
Not yet.
But there are fandoms out there for everybody in between. All the way from John Ford westerns right on to good old fashioned Our Gang black and white comedies, the Little Rascals.
Soderbergh's effort.
Why do we geeks feel like we need to revise our films? It's so funny to me.
It's an artistic process a part of it is the process of re-editing makes you look at all the footage from not only from a technical eye as well as a creative one, and you really have to it laser focuses. When you re-edit something, it laser focuses on the decisions that the original director made, and now you're kind of deconstructing what he did.
You're undoing a whole house of cards
and
rebuilding another house of cards,
and
using the same cards,
right? So it's an artistic process, but I will say this:
it's fascinating to me.
The Tolkien edit is a valiant effort.
Yeah.
It is worth watching. Is it better than Peter Jackson's movies? No. The key thing that Tolkien editors' version of The Hobbit is missing is the feeling of myth building. This is a very clinical cut. This is a very clinical recut. This is like, let's get it as short as possible.
Not the dwarfed cut.
No. Tolkien edit
the Tolkien
4 hour.
edit.
The Tolkien edit 4 hour cut is very clinical. It is as bare minimum as you can get, and while still being able to tell the story that was in the book.
Yes. He said he was aiming for 3.5 hours.
He was aiming for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, that's what he said. He got it down to 4.
I think it's worth watching, but once you watch it, it will become apparent to you.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch
some of the
it.
Decisions that were made to include some things in an effort to build upon the myth and the mythology of Lord of the Rings, and I just think it's too clinical. I think it's too harsh. This is basically Tolkien editor approached it like, let's tell the story about Bilbo, and then he told that story.
Yes.
And I kind of want more out of life, and I want more out of my Middle Earth films. But I highly recommend watching
investigating.
It's worth investigating.
It's definitely worth investigating. An excellent question has an excellent comment from the fans who are in the chat room saying, even Ellen Design, hello Ellen, that theater is the theater world, performing arts theater, is terribly aggressive as well. How many versions of Shakespeare plays have you seen that took place in completely different times, or with an all-male cast, or an all-female cast? Yeah, well, people do love to play fast and loose with Shakespeare, that's true. And a lot of purists get really aggravated when you play fast and loose with Shakespeare and modernize it or change it.
I mean, think of all the people that were horrified during the Red Curtain trilogy. How dare you mess with Romeo and Juliet and some of these other classics in the Red Curtain trilogy. How dare you soil the legacy and legend? And it's
Baz Luhrmann is the king of overstatement. He's the absolute king of overstatement, and that's why he did such a great job on The Great Gatsby and on Moulin Rouge, of course, his most indulgent and florid piece of cinema ever, and one of my favorites for that reason.
So final review. Thumbs up to the Tolkien edit.
Thumbs up for that.
It's worth watching.
My verdict has yet to be, down or up, because I have yet to see it, but I will.
And the dwarfed edition is another version, another fan edit. But I think there's 2 more re-edits that need to occur, and I don't know who's going to do them.
Well, the Tolkien editor said that when he gets his hands on some better video source for Battle of the Five Armies, he'll redo some.
No, you know what? Just watch the low res one. It's fine. You don't need the high-res version. In fact, the Tolkien editor cut out most of the extended edition scenes anyway.
Yes, he did.
So
Yeah.
and so did the Dwarf edition. Like, a lot of the extended edition scenes are superfluous in both versions. But the two versions that really still need to be made, and I think that will be more definitive to the Hobbit story. There's one version that still needs to be edited, called the original cut. 2 movies cut at TheOneRing's at the river.
Yeah, at the end of the river sequence.
As we have all the notes through the history of the making of The Hobbit, we have all these notes that say that movie 1 ended when they meet Bard.
Yes.
And then the intro to movie 2 was them negotiating with Bard.
Yeah.
And going into Lake Town, and then
Yes.
you see the reveal. So I want to see that movie.
Mm-hmm.
2.5 hour movies.
Okay.
Okay. And then I think there's one more edit that needs to be done, and this will take a lot more work and of a skilled person. We need the Hobbit comedy edition. We need I'm serious. We need I've said this before in the show. We need a re-edit of the Hobbit films by a comedy editor. I'm talking someone like the guy that edited Ghostbusters. On that level, someone that edited The Mask or any one of these, real comedy movies. It needs a comedy editor's touch, because look, the script is hilarious. The actors that were cast are some of the funniest comedians in the world, from our friend Dame Edna all the way to Billy Connolly.
Yes, from Barry Humphries all the way to Billy Connolly.
All the way through. Yeah. And Martin Freeman is one of
Yes.
the funniest guys around.
Yes,
and then
he is.
And then the third thing is, when you watch these films over and over again, as we have, the performances are actually wildly over the top and very hilarious. Martin Freeman does a lot of one-eye glances and head cocks and okay. And the dwarven performances, they overacted out of their suits, and a lot of the extra characters, they overacted, and it's played for comedy. The actors played for comedy. The script was written for comedy, and the casting was for comedians. And
so you think that there could be a really effective and funny,
very effective
comedy cut
of The Hobbit using comedy sound effects.
Could be interesting.
When they fall down when they fall down in the caverns of let's hear some sound effects of banana peel things, and when someone makes a joke,
funny.
Pause for comedy. You're only as funny as your straight man, and you don't get any better than Richard Armitage as the straight man. And if you watch the movies, if you watch the entire trilogy, and you think of Richard Armitage as the straight man, he's so straight, it's like, come on, dude, laugh. Even at dinner, at the very beginning, everyone's laughing and having a good time, and come on, dude, lighten up. And he's always a straight man.
Always the grumpy one.
He's always Mr. Grump, and that's
how he was
in
the book.
There's humor in that. If you cut for pauses.
I can see the appeal of both of these edits. The 2-film edit that would match Guillermo del Toro's original structure.
Yes.
And then the comedy edit. Very appealing ideas. You guys, get to work. Oh, yeah, you famous online internet editors.
The Benny Hill theme, yes.
Yeah, you famous lurkers on Reddit, lurking on Reddit.
But
heed your master's call.
I don't know.
Heed your master's call.
I really, really want to see.
I think the 2 edits you mentioned would be kind of fun.
The original Guillermo edit.
Yeah, the 2-film Guillermo edit.
And then the comedy edit. I think the comedy edit would be as true to really Tolkien and true to you could probably do a comedy edit of without cutting out a lot of anything, and it would make much more sense. Like when Legolas is jumping up the blocks at the end, add the Super Mario jump thing. Bloom,
yeah.
Bloom, You know, if you start adding some of these things up, it starts to make sense. Like, oh wow, yeah, this is I've said this before. Like when you first see Azog
Yes.
on top of the hill
Yeah.
at nighttime, and he's petting his warg, White Kitty. He's petting
Yeah.
his White
He
Kitty.
is petting his White Kitty.
as the funniest James Bond villain have all done, right? And what does he do? What does a classic funny bad guy do?
Kill one of his minions who
He
does something
always-
inept.
He
Yes.
always kills his first lieutenant.
Yes.
And the first time we see Azog,
He does the whole shtick.
He kills his first lieutenant.
Yeah.
Just like the Joker kills Bob the Goon. Like
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah.
It's like Bob Gun. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you fail me yet again. You know, Yazneg.
Yazneg. Uh-huh.
You
That would
fail
be
me yet
Yazneg.
again, Yazneg. So
That's
there-
fascinating.
That's
yeah,
funny.
It could be worth a do-over. Yeah, it could be worth a do-over on that. I'll say that as intrigued as I am by the broader cultural implications of our fandom and the way our fandom thinks of themselves in relation to the artwork that they are consuming, aside from that conversation, and it's worth analyzing and looking at again. Look at Alexander Felipe's movie, The People versus George Lucas, for a very illuminating discussion on that. And also look at Ringer's Lord of the Fans for another illumination on how a fandom feels generationally, waves and waves of ownership over a property that they love so much. So it's fascinating. Aside from all that, your last little suggestion, I think, is worth looking at. A comedy cut of The Hobbit. That would
And
be,
you know what?
That would be a hoot.
And I think there'll be a lot of discussions. We'll be able to chat more with you guys live in person at One Last Party. Again, thank you so much.
We do look forward to
for
that. It will be exciting.
making this
Very
happen.
nice. And
Like,
acknowledgement to everyone for supporting
it's
us.
crazy. Like,
Thank you, guys.
We're all
Thank you.
volunteers. We've
Thank you.
been volunteers for 15 years. The site doesn't have any Google ads or anything. It's
That's true.
This party's happening because of you, and it's just the outpouring of support has been wonderful, and we hope to bring you something wonderful either in person or live online.
Yes, indeed.
February 21st. So we'll see you at One Last Party. Check out the Facebook event page. If you go to our Facebook page at the facebook.com/TheOneRingNet, look for our event page. You'll see all the details for the cheapest way to get to Hollywood from LAX.
Yes.
Take a train. Amtrak comes straight to Union Station, and then the red Metro link.
Get on. It's not a Metro Link. It's just the red subway.
Metro, yeah, subway.
The Metro Link is a different commuter train that goes out to the far communities. But you get on a simple Amtrak, a simple train ride, or a free shuttle. Will go from the airport, get on the subway, and you can come right downtown and go right to Hollywood and Highland.
And
I'll meet you at the subway station.
And there's so many wonderful
with bells
places.
on. With bells on.
There's
I'll
hostels
meet
to
you there.
stay at in Hollywood. Most of them are clean now. Airbnb. There's a bunch of places in Hollywood. Even Meltdown Comics has the Spidey pad in Hollywood. House
Yes.
decked out in all classic Spider-Man stuff. So look up the Spidey
cool.
pad. Look up Airbnb for wonderful places to stay at. And there's a lot of wonderful good. It's amazing what you guys have done. You brought it all together. We can't believe it's happening. There's a lot of work ahead of us. So thank you for your support on making One Last Party happen.
Absolutely.
It is a wonderful event. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Torn Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, very good to have you guys, and very glad to share, a portion of a show with you today, my dear fellow. Thank you, not only to the audience for sticking with us, but thank you, Justin, for carrying on, for keeping calm and carrying on. I just want to say thank you. And all is well here in our world. We'll have more details and much more fun and mischief at our next weekly webcast for TheOneRing.net. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.
I agree with this text message.
What's this?
The One Last Party deserves a resounding
Grand. Yes, Grand.
We'll see you next time.
Bye for now. Cheers.